All right. I'll introduce Patricia and then Emmeline, I'll make you the host. And do we have any co-hosts here besides anyone? No, nobody. Okay. Well, Emmeline, if any of our co-hosts pop up, you can make them co-host. But first, let me introduce Patricia. Okay, I'm going to share the screen. Oh, yes, we should be live streaming. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think we're
that
live streaming.
yeah, that came up.
Oh, good, good, good. All right, I hope you can all see that. Hello and welcome to a very special Saturday spirituality group with our guest Patricia Farrell. Patricia Farrell is a physical medium. That's a unique kind of medium that I'm sure she will explain. With over 20 years of experience serving the spiritual community. For 27 of Mystical World's 31 years, she was the center's medium and now carries its legacy forward as the founder of Mystical World. The Other View, a space for readings, healings, classes, and workshops. Known for her unique ability to clear and shift energy across realms, Patricia also connects clients with loved ones, spirit guides, angels, and animals in spirit, blending her mediumship with tarot to provide guidance, healing, and peace. Welcome, Patricia.
Thank you so much for having me. I always start off with gratitude. So, Dan, thank you so much for reaching out. I'm going to thank all of you for coming. And of course, we're going to thank God for the opportunity to be here. My name is Patricia Farrell, and I do work as a physical medium. So, I've had an interesting journey with this. Dan, just so you know, I did take that opportunity to contact Yale and participate in their study.
Oh, great. How did you deal with the being enclosed in that little MRI chamber?
I didn't get to that point yet. So the first point was some kind of Zoom interview was like the first thing, and it was this questionnaire thing that was kind of going on. It was very interesting. The woman, her name was Dolores, very sweet. She was recording the whole thing and she was kind of taking this survey. And the whole reason, do they all know about this Yale University thing or not?
No, no.
Oh, okay. So Yale University is doing a study on individuals that hear voices, right? And I'm thinking that their perception of this is a little bit like people who have been diagnosed with something, right? Schizophrenia or bipolar or, some kind of thing going on there. I don't think what they did expect was a medium to show up. Because if you think about it, they can ask me the same questions that they ask these individuals, right? Do you hear voices? Uh-huh. Yes, I do. Right? But I think with me, it's just that I have a little more, um, I'm just going to say discernment and control over it. And I think that that's not control in the manner of I can make them go away. Right? A voice can randomly I could be in the supermarket and hear a voice, right? So it can randomly happen. I would say you don't really ever turn it off, but you can grow in your power of it. You do not have to. The tricky part is some of these voices sound like your own thought. So there's this fine line between are you channeling something in from the other realms or is this actually my own thought? That's where the discernment energy comes in. I've been doing it long enough. I have been doing mediumship for 26 years. Um, I've been doing it long enough to have the discernment energy of what is actually my own thought and what am I actually channeling in? What am I going to entertain? And what am I going to tell you got to leave? I'm not even listening to you. You got to go, right? And I'm assuming some of you here, you do hear these thoughts that come in your head, right? That are very loud. Um, you do have the power. You do to say, no, we're not doing this today, right? It's not happening. Um, and you do have the authority to say, go away. You have no power here. And I think with Yale, so I thought it was interesting. I got onto their interview and she was recording it and she's going through the whole questionnaire thing. Are you on any medication? Have you been diagnosed with anything? Right. And she gets to this portion um, about suicide, which just is not happening. I have way too much love and peace to share on this planet. So, yeah, that's not happening. Right. Honestly, I got a little bored. So now I flipped on my clairvoyancy and I started analyzing her while she's asking me these questions, right? And I'm like, I just want to know something about her, right? And so she gets to the point at the end, and this is more like an open discussion point. And, basically, I had said to her, I said, Dolores, I said, the reason I'm participating in this survey, I said, is not for your help. I said, I want to help you all understand what you're really dealing with. I want to help you help everybody else because they all want to say, oh, well, it's this delusion or, they're, seeing things, they're making it up, whatever. And what I've come to find just being in the field of physical mediumship, um, not all, do not get me wrong. I have had a beautiful opportunity to work with people who have been diagnosed schizophrenic or bipolar. And what I see is attached energies on there. Some, not all, do not get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. Some, clients I walk in on and I'm like, I just really have no idea what's going on here, right? But some of them are actually very easy for me because on some of them, the voice that they're thinking is their own is actually a spirit in the other realm getting into their head. And then they don't even realize that this spirit is here, right? So they're thinking this is their own thought and they have to listen to this. As a physical medium, there's two different types of mediums. There's mental mediums, which is mostly what you run into. Mostly this is what you see on TV. This is mostly what you run into when you book an appointment. A mental medium, it's like everything takes place within the medium. They get their visions, they get their, clairaudience is going on, and they interpret what is going on within them. A physical medium can do the same things as a mental medium. However, they have like a certain ability. For me, I'm just going to say it's a frequency that I carry that allows me to get rid of that voice. If it's a spirit attached onto somebody and they're talking into their head, right? That spirit has to go. They should not be there. Big rule. No, no, right? They should not be there influencing the living like that that way. And I have in the physical mediumship, my specialty in the field is the ability to detect energy in the other realms that cause some kind of controversy for the living. So if somebody has a ghost, they could call me and it literally takes me 3 seconds to get rid of a ghost. It's just, majority of the cases, I don't even go out to. I remotely just get rid of the ghost that's in the house. However, that same ability works exactly the same for each one of us. Everything is energy, scientific proven fact, right? Tables are, chairs are, we are. And I'm trying to get people to really understand this. So are your thoughts and your words and your emotions and your beliefs and your expectations and your experiences. and they all hang out in these pockets of energy in your aura or as your own personal bubble of energy, it is very apparent in the other realms. It's got all these layers to it. These layers hook into a chakra system. Chakras are these energy points in our body, right? So this is where I will typically find maybe a spirit attached on to the person. The person does not realize there's a spirit there. They think the voice that they're hearing is their own. When we get rid of the spirit, I just cross the spirit over to the light. Go into the light. Stop bothering this person. When we cross the spirit over into the light, guess what? That voice goes away. And I've had it in quite a few of the cases where diagnosed schizophrenic, let me come in and do a cleanse. Let me see what I find. Right? What do you got to lose for me to do this? Right? Exactly. Exactly. What do you got to lose for me to do this? Um, and we get rid of the voices. And this is the thing, though. I will have the participant sitting across me and say, I don't want to know anything about you. I want to tell you what's going on so that you feel validated. One of the cases I worked on, it was a female, young too. She like maybe about 20 or so, 19, 20 years old. And I found this whole pocket of energy in her head, right? And I pulled it out, and what I saw in there was the background. I saw almost like New York City, and I saw a man there. He was a spirit, and he was taking pictures. And I said to her, I said, this tells me you have some sort of paranoia that you feel like people are videotaping you or taking pictures of you all the time. And her mama was sitting there, and her grandmother was sitting there, all like, yes. We get when we go out in public, they told me some story about somebody was in front of them with a backpack on, and she really thought that there was this hidden camera in the backpack, and it was taking pictures of her, and she started, wigging out. And I said, mm-mm. I said, it's the spirit that's making her believe that people are videotaping her or taking pictures of her. I asked the spirit, how did you get there? Spirit told me she was in New York City one time and it just had a weird moment where I think somebody had asked her if they could take her picture or something along those lines. And she got a weird frequency happened. That's when that spirit jumped in. She got scared about it, right? For whatever reason, right? So once she hit that level, it's almost like a door opened, and there's some random spirit that, look at that. I can bully her and make her think make her think that everybody's videotaping her, right? Once I pulled him out, I said, okay, you don't need to be here anymore. After I did like a follow-up with her, that paranoia completely went away. Completely went away. And don't get me wrong, there are layers that come forward, layers, layers, layers. Probably one of my best cases, I had to cross paths with a kid. This was interesting. I teach a group. I've been teaching a mediumship group for 17 years. Once a month for 17 years. And in this 17 years, I have only missed this group once. Only 1 month, and that's because I took a vacation. So, well deserved, right? Um, I was teaching this group. Uh, I think at this point it was probably about 13 years ago, and this woman shows up to this group out of nowhere. At the end of this group, I had said, no, I believe that a lot of people that are diagnosed schizophrenic or some sort of that they have attached spirits or entities on there, and these are the voices that they hear. And at the end of it, and it was random too that I had said this. Um, and at the end of it, she came up to me and she said, do you really believe that? I said, I would not have said it if I do not believe it. I'm not throwing false information out there. This is literally like my work here, and it really is like a study. She said, I have a son, uh, diagnosed schizophrenic at the age of 15. He is 19 years old now. She said, I prayed to God this morning, please help me. This woman has tried everything to help her child, right? I prayed to God this morning, please help me. She said, I don't know how I ended up in this group. I've never, been in this group before. And I saw something pop up. I said, well, that was the answer to your prayer, right? She said, will you come work with my child? Absolutely, I will. And I went in and this poor kid, 19 years old now, he's been diagnosed for 4 years now, right? This poor kid is sitting on a couch. He just looks all medicated. I asked him, I said, hon, can I ask you a question? I said, does all that medication really make those voices go away? He said, nah, it just makes me tired. I said, okay, sweetheart, you know what? You're missing your life. You're missing your life. And I did find the first place I looked on him was in his third eye. And I literally saw six spirits standing by his pineal gland, which is a very psychic center, right? So think about that. They're all standing right there, getting in on him. And I said to him, I said, oh, I see six. I said, you hear six different voices. This kid's eyes lit up. He's like, yes, yes, there are six of them. To see the child light up in the moment, to not have somebody sit across from him and say, yeah, you're just making it up. Here's a pill. Go to sleep. It's okay, right? Whatever. And to be able to sit across from him and validate him. No, no, there's six of them in there. I see them, right? One by one, I pulled them out and I talk to them and I make them tell me, what are you doing to this kid? And the first one that came out, nothing for nothing. When people cross over to the other side, they're not all like sitting on a cloud playing a harp, you know? Sometimes you have some characters that kind of still have the same personality that they had when they were here in the physical world. And the first one I pulled out, I said, what are you doing? What are you doing to him? Guy says, bullying him. I said, why? He said, because he doesn't stick up for himself. And he brought me back to a point when, right before all this happened, that the child did go through a bullying incident, right? He did go through a bullying incident. And I guess right, you got to always be mindful where your awareness is because doors open. So whenever he went into this bullying incident, that's where that spirit said, oh, he's not going to stick up for himself. This is who I was when I was here in the physical world. And now I get to keep being this character with this soul over here, right? I got rid of him. 2 rounds I did with this kid. I pulled all the voices out the first time. We did the aura, patched up some work in the aura the second time. Now, he had lost 4 years of his life, very important years of socialization, right? You think between the ages of 15 and 19, very important years, right? When I got him clear, me and his mother worked on weaning him off the medication, right? The only thing we were really, really, really concerned with was a little bit of him losing out on the socialization. So this was a little task for me to kind of go, honey, now we got to kind of make this happen. Long story short, after I had cleared this child, he was able to go get his driver's license. He did that, completed college, got an amazing job, with PSE&G, right? As like an IT person, and has been cleared for 13 years. No voices, right? He did, but I'm going to give you recently, it's almost like another layer came forward. And I had to come in and we had to redo and some of the cleanse. Um, I believe what happened there is one of the things I always tell after I do a clearing, I'll tell a soul is you have to find your light. Obviously, you have doors open, right? And that's what a lot of, I believe, a lot of people that are diagnosed schizophrenic, they are not schizophrenic. They are mediums. They're just like me. The only difference here is some of their doors that are open are lower vibrating energy, right? I have to consciously keep my awareness in the light in whatever way, shape, or form that works for you, right? I'm not telling you to run to church. I'm not telling you to do anything like that. It's what works for you, right? Getting in your light might be playing music. Maybe you're a musician, right? And when you're playing your music and you're, strumming your guitar or whatever it is, you notice you're in your light. You're in the zone of creation, right? You're calm, you're peaceful, you're in your light. If that's what gets you into your light, amen, do that thing, right? If writing gets you into your light, do that thing. If meditation gets you into your light, do that thing. Whatever gets you into your light. Spending time, you saw my dog, right? It's one of my meditative things almost every single day of my life is to take him, and I have to spell it because he's in the room, for a WALK. Because if I don't spell it, we're gonna have the German Shepherd up here again, right? I just listen to a podcast. I get outside, I connect with the earth, I take him, and we just kind of go for like a mile, 2 miles, whatever. Sometimes I'm out there walking him for like an hour. But this is part of my routine, let's just say, that keeps my energy balanced. I know that if I do not keep my awareness in the light, those lower vibrating energies are going to have a field day in my head, right? You get it. You all get it, right? So it's one of the first things when I had said to him after I did the initial clearing, I said, sweetheart, you got to find where your light is and you got to get in it. I said, and that's what's going to be a big stop sign for all these lower vibrating energies to stop getting in your head. You're a lot like me. You're a medium. Just because you're a medium, the word medium really means an in between. That's it. People's perception of a medium is, oh, she's a medium. She talks to dead people. Talking to spirits is such a small crumb on my plate, right? Is it something I can do? Yes, right? I'm more into the physical mediumship and helping people clear their energy, right? Literally change their frequency and help them become very aware of what are you aligning with? Because that's the door you're opening. And I think what happened with him, and I had told him, I said, honey, you didn't do not one thing that I told you to do. You did not do one thing that I told you to do. I said, I think what has happened is in the 13 years, his motivation to get the driver's license, complete the school, nab that job, right? I think that's what kind of kept him clear. But I think once he got the job, now he's the hamster on the wheel again. And he's not, oh, I don't like when this pops up. Um, and he's choosing not to find some other purpose or focus, right? You see what I'm saying? which I believe then reopened doors and allowed them to come in. So we have fingers crossed with him. You know, I did do a clearing on him again, but for 13 years, not to have this child on medication and him getting on with his life. Um, I don't know, oh, something just popped up. Oh, it's from Dan. Bye, Dan. Thank you for having me. um, I think had he done what I told him to do, I believe there would have been different results. The whole idea with it is you standing in your authority. No, you are not. I'm not spending my life on medication. I'm not spending my life sleeping. You have no power here. Like you need to go, right? So I did this Yale thing, right? And it was only the first phase of it. So at the end of it, open discussion, she's recording it because her colleagues have to see it. And at some point I said to her, I said, honey, I'm here to help you. I want to help Yale really understand what they're studying because it's not about medication. It's about helping these souls get into a different frequency of what they're aligning with. That's what it is. And I don't remember how it exactly came up, but I had said to her, I go, I can tell you something about you right now. She's like, what? I said, yeah, when you're on that whole thing about suicide, I said, it wasn't really applying to me. I said, so I got bored. I said, and I started looking at you clairvoyantly. And she said, you can tell me something about me? And I said, well, what I've analyzed so far is basically there's some guy, I said, that you don't feel like you were seen by. I said, it is a really toxic situation for you. She is pressing the stop button on the recording because she knows her colleagues are going to hear this. She's like, wait, right? Um, I did tell her what I saw. She completely understood what I saw. And I told her because believe it or not, this man, even though he's still here in the living, this man, she gave him so much power that literally there was a fragmented piece of this guy's soul in her aura. And I said, he's in your aura. She says, well, he's still here in a physical world. I said, I know. I said, you've just given him so much power in your thoughts and emotions. You literally invited a fragmented piece of him into your aura. And now, honey, for you in your head, this is like a haunting. She said, absolutely. I said, you cannot, this guy will randomly pop into your head. You will find yourself down your rabbit holes with it. What could have happened? What didn't happen? Da 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 da. Everything to make you turn energy against yourself. I said, when's the last time you even saw this guy? She's like, 2 years ago, I think she said. I was like, so for 2 years, you've literally been haunted by this. She said, absolutely. I said, I'm going to get rid of it for you. Um, oh, bye, Harvey. um, Wonderful meeting you. I said, I'm going to get rid of this. She said, what do I do? I said, I'm a physical medium. I will get rid of it for you. I will transmute that energy so it goes away. So you can at least find your peace of not being haunted. This is what happens, y'all, when we have crossed paths with somebody in our life that have left some sort of traumatizing, usually, right? Experience. You ever notice that? You might not have seen this person for 20 years, yet you still get down that rabbit hole and you still think about what they did, what they didn't do, what they said, what they didn't say, whatever was going on there. I guarantee you, this person is taking up space in your aura and occupying your time. This is where I um try to tell people one of the most important things you can do, especially in this scenario, is go see somebody who does Reiki. Okay. I'm a fan of Reiki. Don't get me wrong. However, I would choose somebody who does Reiki and sound at the same time, whether it's tuning forks or sound bowls or something like that. I'll tell you why. Reiki is the frequency of light. That's very powerful, right? They're transmuting the energy. They're getting your chakras all swinging the right way, right? Um, Very powerful. But when I had gotten a Reiki degree or certification or whatever you want to call it, probably about, I don't even know, 25 years ago. I never used it. When I went in there, I was just like, okay, I get it. Reiki, we're the channel for the light. Got it. Right. Years later, um, I took a tuning fork class, right? A tuning fork class that have to do with each chakra. These are these energy points in your body, all vibrate on a certain frequency, a hertz, right? They actually have a sound to them in the other realms. And when I think I was in this class for about 5 minutes, and that's when I had my aha moment. Part of her introduction was, um, you know, uh, the frequency of light, very powerful. Frequency of sound is the higher manifester. And the example that she used was in the beginning of the Bible. Side note, I'm not here to preach any religion, right? Do I believe things in the Bible? Absolutely. Do I believe everything in the Bible? No, I do not. I know that these are channeled works of individuals that will hear that has passed through the filter of their perception of things, right? But I will take the little hints that they give us and the little guidance that they give us. And in the beginning of the Bible, it says, and God spoke light into existence. So if God spoke light into existence, it means the frequency of sound is the higher manifester. So I highly recommend, especially in whatever you're struggling with, that you do find somebody who is reputable and does combine kind of like the Reiki and the energy cleansing and the sound. So like I said, whether they do tuning forks or sound bowls, whatever, the whole idea is to keep all the chakras aligned. You will find just that simple, simple, simple task, when you keep your chakras aligned, how much more peaceful you are. It's a very ancient thing. I mean, like they've been studying this. I think the word chakra, I mean, I don't even know, it goes back way back, right? People way back when knew of these things. Somewhere along the line, we lost it, right? We got a little bit too focused in on physical world things and we're forgetting the true essence of who we are, right? Um, so I had said to him, and I think that that's where, he just did not do the things that I told him to do. You can't I have to work on it every day. If I have to work on it every day, which it becomes such a part of your practice, I would rather have the peace than have the negative voices coming in my head telling me how I'm not good enough, how they didn't do this. And that's usually all kind of based in your upbringing and what you were programmed with. What were you taught as a child about who you are? What are relationships? What is male energy? What is female energy? These kids are these little um, sponges, right? And those are the doors that start to open. So I highly recommend that. Um, I will put I'll put my business number up here. I'm in New Jersey. I don't know where y'all are. Um, I'm in New Jersey, in Secaucus, New Jersey. I do have an office in Lyndhurst, New Jersey. Um, so I'm going to put, if anybody is interested in it, we do have a woman. Her name is Yvette McGuire. She is the one that did teach me tuning forks. She's like our tuning fork guru, right? She is one of the original owners of Mystical World, the Enlightenment Center that I did work for 26, 27 years of their 31 years of service. And when they decided to retire in April, my colleague and I, who's a master tarot card reader, decided to take it over. So, yes, we did take over this year an enlightenment center that has been in business for 31 years. And Yvette was going to retire. It only took Yvette like a few months to realize she is here to be of service. She approached us. She said, I would like to do my healings again. I would like to hold my spiritual support group. She does hold a spiritual support group at my office on the first and third Wednesday nights of the month, 6:30. She only charges $10 for this, right? So she wanted to come out of retirement. My business partner says to me, Yvette wants to do her healing. She wants to hold her support group. I said, Yvette can do whatever she wants to do. We gave Yvette keys to our place. You come and go as you want, sweetheart. Book your appointments, do your thing. Let's just keep healing. Um, so I'm going to put my office phone number in there. Uh, it is called Mystical World, The Other View. And if you want to make a appointment with Yvette, just call and Dev, if she does not answer, she will get back to you as soon as she can because she's really busy too. We're both running two businesses. So Yvette, let me just put that, uh, does the tuning forks. I just highly recommend it. You have to, there, I'll put that there. Um, you just have to somehow keep yourself in the light and open other doors for yourself. So I want to share with you my backstory because it's really interesting. So as a child, right, you're just a kid, whatever. My father was uh very abandoning. He was an abandoning alcoholic, right? My mother was very young. By the time she was 19, she had two children. By the time she was 21, she was divorced. Now it's me and my older brother in this. My older brother, his name is Michael, um, very much diagnosed schizophrenic. I honestly do not even know where my brother is on the planet at this point because he did, in order to turn all that off, he did turn towards drugs and he did turn towards alcohol, right? And last I knew, he was in a halfway house in Los Angeles, and I was able to reach him. And it was so interesting. I had called him at that point. I was able to still reach him through their house phone. Unfortunately, within the last maybe 5 years or so, even more than that, 6 years, whenever I call that house, either I cannot leave a message, right? The voicemail is full, or I leave a message and nobody ever calls me back. Like honestly, I say my brother is MIA at this point. What I think he did was he went back out on the street Or I said to my mother, um, or he is participating as a guinea pig for like Johnson and Johnson in some lab somewhere, right? Um, so I had called my brother when my grandfather died. And then this was the point that I really started to understand him better. And meanwhile, I am working on this mediumship thing, right? And I called him to tell him my grandfather died. I'm like, Mike, I'm just calling you right now. Grandpa died. He goes, I know. I said, how do you know? He said, he was here. He told me. I believed him. And I understood in that moment, my brother is not crazy. He's not a drug addict. He's a medium. You understand, right? So what happened for me um, was growing up, me and my brother, hard childhood, right? Not really paid attention to much, right? Just, but I was a good kid. I really was. I was a good kid. Um, we go through life, right? And when you're in high school, right? Never really felt like I was like these other kids. I really didn't. I didn't understand like when these girls were all excited about the prom or something like that. I'm like, I don't see the excitement in this. Like, something wrong with me, right? But when you're in high school, they're kind of you get to the point, and the guidance counselor is like, well, we're going to give you an assessment, and we're going to pretty much tell you what to go to school for, right? So they had observed that I was very, very good in math. Oh, you should be an accountant. That's what you should be. You should be an accountant. Okay. In hindsight, I did end up going to school for accounting. In hindsight, you know what I would have went to school for? Like psychiatry. Absolutely. I am intrigued with the human mind. How does it work? What is going on? What does make people do what they do or think what they think, right? Um, so I did. I went to school for accounting. By the time I was 27 years old, I had mastered my job, right? There's no challenge here whatsoever. At this point in the game, I have a son when I was 24. With his stepfather. We had a 20-year relationship, but at this point, I'm just at this job and I'm like, I can't do this for the next 40 something years of my life. Like, what is going on here? There's got to be something more to life than me hopping on this hamster wheel, right, every day. Um, and I called out God. I didn't even know if there was a God. I actually said, if you even exist, show me something different. I can't do this, right? So my son was in daycare, every day you do the same routine, drop off, pick up, drop off, pick up, drop off, pick up, right? You make the same turns. That day, I made the one turn, right? It was like somebody took a storefront, put a spotlight on it, and dragged it out into the middle of the street. Oh, what's that place? Right? Pick up my son. Let me go see what that is, right? Maybe that weekend I went, whatever it was. And it ended up being Mystical World in Lyndhurst. And it was an enlightenment center. I don't know if you all ever went into like an enlightened type store. It can be quite overwhelming when you walk in. Because what you don't realize is a section on tarot cards, and there's a section on Jesus, and there's a section on, Wiccan stuff, and there's angels, and there's Native American stuff, and you're just kind of like, I don't understand what's going on here, right? It was quite overwhelming, but I did get the courage. And what I did was I started to just take classes and workshops that I was drawn to take, right? And one of the main ones was Yvette's meditation group. It was held on Saturdays. The Tuning Fork chick actually does a meditation group too. Held on Saturdays, $5. I have to tell you, this woman did that for what, 26, 27 years, never raised the price. Her meditation group continued to be $5 to the minute that woman retired, right? So I don't understand what meditation is. I would say my perception of meditation was like a Tibetan monk sitting on a mountainside for 23 hours a day oming. That is just not realistic for a lot of us, right? We could do that. So I think that's what my perception of it was until I went in and I started realizing, oh, okay, wait a minute. We're sitting in this group. She's going to say some words. I'm going to take some deep breaths and I'm going to start creating whatever story in my mind, right? Picture yourself on a beach. Ah, I could do that, right? So I'm intrigued with this. And I'm like, okay, it's a whole different side of myself. I never really saw, right? I did not understand what this was. I didn't even know what a medium was. My idea of somebody who was in this field was probably a tarot card reader, and I think the only word I knew was clairvoyancy. I didn't understand what that was, right? Psychic, something like that, right? So I start taking this and I go every single Saturday. I discipline myself. I do not allow excuses to come in, and I go every single Saturday for this hour, $5 meditation. At the same time, this is all happening. John Edward is getting big on TV. I think you all know who John Edward is, right? Okay, so John Edward. All right, so John Edward was really kind of society's first exposure, I'm going to say, on national television of what a medium is. And this was back in the later 90s, right? I'm watching this guy on TV and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. This guy is talking to dead people? Is that even a thing? Like, what the hell? Right? I'm completely intrigued by him. Which little side note started to make me wonder what does happen to you after you die? Like, what the hell? Right? Wait. I mean, I'm only in my 20s at this point, but it did make me wonder what does happen to you? What, right? Um, so I'm watching this guy on TV, completely intrigued. I'm watching him give these messages that he could not possibly know to these people in the audience. I'm going to Yvette's meditation. Now I'm involved with this, taking these classes, these workshops, becoming a little bit of a meditation junkie, I must say. It's very relaxing. So it's just yet again another thing I recommend. But you have to use a lot of discernment energy because just because people work in this field or they claim some sort of spirituality. I remember one lady, she told me she was some kind of Reiki master and all of this. And she's like, may I work on your energy? Mm-mm. No, you cannot. I don't care what's falling out your mouth. I see what's in your aura. Like, no, no, thank you anyway, but I'm good, right? Um, so I'm intrigued with all this. And I kid you not, I actually get into a meditative state of mind one night, and I find myself walking down the center aisle of a church. In meditation, you just kind of let things kind of unfold how they will, right? And I find myself walking down the center aisle of a church, and at the altar is my deceased grandfather, who was my first real death at the age of 14 and the first time I ever clearly heard a voice come in my head. Clearly heard it. And it was a female. It wasn't even my voice, right? So here's my deceased grandfather. I walk up to him. I'm happy to see him. He never says a word. He just smiles at me and he winks at me and he makes some sort of gesture like kneel down, right? So I do that and he gestures up to the cross. And I look at the cross and I say, kid you not, I want to do what John Edward does, right? I am testimony of ask and you shall receive. Just testimony of it. Meditation's done. I go back to the meditation group, right? The following week, whatever it was. Within a month of me saying that, I used to do the meditations, and then all of a sudden, all the people in the group, which is random, right? You get your core group and then you get your stragglers, right? And so it's very random who could be there. It's not always, you don't know these people, you don't know their stories. Um, all of a sudden, instead of me doing Yvette's meditation, I start to see spirits standing in front of me asking me to give messages to people in the group, right? And I'm like, somehow I just knew how to communicate with them. I just knew it was all this mental exchange, right? Emotional energy exchange going on. So I started giving them messages, right? And at some point in the game, the owners, Sarah and Yvette, noticed that I was doing this. And they said, "Hey, why don't you be our medium?" I'm like, "What?" Meanwhile, I'm working an accounting job for Emery Worldwide Airlines, contracted with United States Postal Division to be their lead payroll administrator. What are you talking about? Be your medium. I said, "What do you mean? Like, get paid for this?" And they were like, yeah. And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So I did have to work the two jobs, right? I had my 9 to 5 job and I was running and I was taking clients. Meanwhile, I have a kid who's involved in football. So go to my 9 to 5, picking up my child, getting him to football, running to Mystical World, taking a reading, running back to football, picking him up, bringing him home. And it's just, this whole thing going on. So I did have to run the two things parallel for a while until it got to the point that I could drop the 9 to 5 and mediumship is my full-time job. It's absolute my full-time job. Even my business partner, who, side note, actually came to me as a client to hear from her friend who had died. And I did that part of the reading and I just looked at her and I go, "What do you do for a living?" And she said, "Blah, blah, 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 blah." I was like, "Yeah, no." I said, "You know how to do all this?" She said, "Yes, I do." I said, "This is what you're supposed to be doing." She's like, "I don't think so, nice lady, but no, I don't think so." I said, "I can feel it to the core of my being." I said, "Not only are you supposed to be doing this," I said, "you're going to work with me." She's like, "Okay, crazy. Nice message from my friend, but yeah, that's not going to happen." Today, me and Dev own Mystical World, the other view, and she does do this full time, right? I just had to wean her into it, right? So that is my backstory of how I did start to step into this field. So look how you're going from somebody who, right, thinks accounting and this is my thing, and here's my 401k and my benefits and stuff like that. And at some point, I'm like, nah, I got to explore all this. And somebody actually said to me, I said, I'm going to drop my 9 to 5 job. They're like, "You're going to drop your 401k and your benefits?" I'm like, uh-huh. And she said to me, she goes, "Oh no, you got to go find a real job." I said, "Well, that's funny because my fake one keeps me really busy. So I'm going to keep going on with the fake job. I'll let you know when I get a real job, right?" And I have, and I feel like at this point in the game that I am still only scratching the surface of what I'm capable of. I have seen complete miracles happen on people. At first, it was the mediumship, just like the mental mediumship that I explained earlier. Like, "Oh, Grandpa's here. He says happy birthday," right? All this stuff. And it turned into the physical mediumship at some point in the game because my second son, when I was pregnant with him, now I'm already doing readings and stuff like that. I'm learning about this other world that I didn't even know existed. When I was pregnant with him, I knew. I was like, this kid's a medium. I knew it. And when he was born, the child only wanted to be with me. And I understood that to be he was more comfortable in my frequency than in other people's frequency. That's why I always say, never force a kid, please. They're reacting to somebody. Don't be like, "Go give Aunt Sally a hug." If they're always like, no, that kid could be picking up something on Aunt Sally that you don't know, and they just don't want to intermingle energy with Aunt Sally, right? They'll force a kid to go give Aunt Sally a hug if they're not comfortable with that, right? So by the time that I knew he was a medium, I knew he was going to be gifted. By the time this child was about 5 years old, if I was not his mother, literally they would have diagnosed this child as bipolar, schizophrenic, ADHD. They would have had him on meds. They would have just because he just had a lot going on. And this is where I got with the higher source energy. Is I don't understand why you give me this gift. I can't even help my own child. And that's where the physical mediumship started coming in. And I had to teach this child how to kind of like maintain control over the spirits that are coming in and the thoughts that you're having and the this and that. I mean, he went through so much. I would say between the ages of 3 and 8 years old, it was a constant battle between me and energies trying to attach themselves onto my child. I'm teaching him at the same time. You have the authority, da 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 da. Right? That's where the physical mediumship started to come in, right? Where I realized that I could get rid of these things. I taught him to get rid of these things, right? Today, this child is 19 years old. He is in college to be a lawyer. He is always in advanced placement classes. He carried so many credits forward from high school into college that he will actually graduate college when he is 20 years old with a bachelor's degree and apply to law school at 20 years old, right? Uh, to go do this. He is a drummer, an amazing drummer. So I send him to drum lessons. I observe my child. This is what puts him in his light. This is what I'm going to put the spotlight on, right? So I send him to drum lessons every single week because I know that's his source. You see what I'm saying? His thing, right? I know I have to keep this child in the light. Of course, he's 19 now and he understands. You got to watch what you're vibing with, son. Because if you vibe with that type of energy, it's going to get into your head. If it gets into your head, you're going to end up down that rabbit hole. Do not give that energy that type of power, right? And he understands all this. He understands all this. So I found his light, right? And I keep him in that spotlight. He is an amazing writer. He knows how to read music, write music. He's just absolutely incredible. But look at what could have happened. We would be missing the whole potential of his light and his divine purpose here if I was not his mother. And I'm telling you, between the ages of 3 and 8 years old, this kid was under constant attack, right? And where would he be today? I guarantee you, if I did not teach him these things or observe these things, he literally catapulted me into physical mediumship. He was the reason I took the tuning fork class in the first place. I got to help my kid, right? Had I not done that, he would be a completely different child right now. Who knows what medications they would have had him on or whatever. Child has never been on any medication whatsoever. He is fine. When they diagnose a child as ADHD, right, which I think they call like attention deficit hyper disorder or some crap like that, right? People in my field are like, nothing wrong with that kid. ADHD to us means their attention is dialed into a higher dimension. They have a very high frequency about them. They have to move to feel comfortable, right? If we're sitting, ever be like sitting somewhere for a long time, you just start to feel that heavy energy, like I have to get up, I have to move, that is constant for them. So let them move. Let them get up and stretch. They're just trying to maintain their frequency, right? Um, oh, who's that? Angela. Okay. Um, yeah, there's not what we, so I understood with that, right? That the child did not need a medication to calm him down. He needed to learn how to ground that frequency in order to be in some sort of balance. So we do some kid meditations. Pretend you're a tree. You're rooted into the right into the earth, deep into the earth. We listen to the frequency of Om. Om is the sound that the earth makes when it rotates. It is a grounding energy. I also understood about this child, elements calmed him down. He's a water sign. His birthday's in June, right? He is a water sign. Water, the frequency of water, the ocean, the pool, the tub calms him down. So I used all the natural elements of the earth, even, right? Earth energy, whatever, the water energy, whatever, to also balance out his aura. I took a completely different approach with this child. So he would not be on any medication. I did have to tell him when he started preschool and, he's going to the public school. And he had three spirits that he used to always hang out with. He used to call them Shakalaka, One-Armed Man, and One-Armed Man's mother, right? Oh, and there was Tan Pants Man too, right? I had told this child when he started school, I said, honey, when you start school, I said, you can't tell the teacher about One-Armed Man and Tan Pants Man. I said, you can't bring these things up. I said, because if you do, I said, then mommy and Christian Boy are going to have to sit across from the psychiatrist, and mommy's going to have to read the psychiatrist so that she realizes you are not crazy, right? He did go to school, and at that young age, he did observe it, and he said, you know what, mommy, you're right. I cannot bring up these things in school. He said, they just don't know about them. And he says, not even the principal. I said, no, not even the principal, honey. These are things you have to accept about yourself, but we cannot share them with everybody. Um, so there are solutions, right, to these diagnoses that they're giving you and all this sort of stuff. And to me, it really is um, changing your frequency, getting your energy cleared, right? Clear your energy, clear your stuff. Keep your frequency maintained, because everything is a frequency of energy. Whatever frequency you're carrying in your thoughts and your emotions is what you're aligning with. If it's a lower vibrating energy, it doesn't feel good to you, right? Or it makes you depressed, or it makes you sad, or, makes you in any way, shape, or form turn your energy against yourself, right? You're vibing on that energy. You're vibing there. If you go do the tuning forks, you're literally raising your frequency. If you come see somebody like me, I'm going to pull all that stuff right out your head or wherever I find it on you, and you're going to have your moment of peace with the whole thing. I am super excited about the Yale University study. The next phase of it is I'm going to go to Connecticut. They are going to put electrodes on my head or whatever, stuff me in some MRI machine or something like that. And they want to see kind of like what goes on in the brain, right? I guess when this happens. Um, I actually, which I cannot get to, I'm so super busy. I cannot, because I'm in Jersey, I can't just leave for Connecticut on an all-day excursion. Um, so it does have to be very pre-planned for me. So I cannot get there till March. I'm gonna set up with them in March. Um, but I had told them, I said, well, an intriguing study for you guys would be put the things on my head and put the things on the head of a different participant. And I said, you don't even have to tell me their name. You could tell me their name is Yellow. I don't care. I said, and I'm going to read their energy. And you can see what goes on in my brain and what goes on in their brain. And I'm going to move the energy off of them. And you could see what goes on in my brain and you could see what goes on in their brain while this is all happening. Because I told them it's not about medication, it's about frequency. You have to help these people understand what they're aligning with and how to get out of that. So, having said that, when you have the lower vibrator, it's just to change your perception of what may be going on with you, right? Just to help you change your, that's, it's actually our motto to our business. Change your perception, change your life, right? It's all about perception change. So it gives you an alternate way to, I'm going to say, not settle for their diagnosis. Oh, okay. Is that what you're telling me is happening to me? Oh, okay. Right? And it's a more natural way to do it. So I would say one of your first um, ways to do it is to become an observer of your thoughts. They had this, I think it was Wayne Dyer, I'm not quite sure. I heard this a very long time ago. But they had said on any given day, the average human being has about 50,000 thoughts that stream through their minds. I think about it. Right? So I envision it like this, like they're coming in and they're passing through your head, right? Now, what's interesting about it is you don't have to entertain every single one of them. And and usually when we're kind of thinking about things, it's usually like a lot of it falls into the energy of uncertainty a lot of the time. How's that going to happen? When's that going to happen? Who, what, where, when, how, why, right? And these are the rabbit holes we get down, right? How's that going to work out? Am I going to get that job? Um, yes, Angela, I love that. Yeah, exactly. Did you see that quote that she just put up there? Dan told that to me, and I said, yes. That's what I said to my brother. I said, honey, I said, when he said, Grandpa came here, I saw him. He told me. Even when I called him to say Dad died, hey, just letting you know, our father died. He goes, yeah, I know. He was here. I heard him. He told me. Okay. And I had said to him, I said, Michael, honey, I said, obviously you're a medium, just like me. I said, but here's the difference between me and you. I said, they're calling you crazy. They're putting you on meds. I'm like, they have you diagnosed with all these things. I said, people are paying me for my crazy. I said, here's the difference. So that quote goes right into that with my own biological brother. They look at him like he's crazy, psychotic. He's a medium, right? We just chose different paths. I chose not to be an addict, right? I chose not to do. Could I have been? Absolutely. But it was one of those things where it was like, I don't like to lose control over what is going on here. And that's when I developed that mediumship. So just what Angela said, that's exactly, so that's why I want people to understand there is nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. But you do have to put some work in and you have to put some healing work in, right? In order to heal yourself and start to vibe with a different frequency. It's very intriguing. Like I said, I just apps 26 years into it. I'm super excited about this Yale University. I'm gonna bust Yale University open. um, please understand what you're studying. There's nothing wrong with these people. Nothing. Let me work with one of them and literally study that. right? Um, so does anybody have any questions or anything? I mean, it's just this intrigue. I'm not going to stop, just so you know, as long as I'm on this planet, I am literally fighting for everybody like you guys. I'm like, nothing wrong with these people. Even the addiction energy is interesting. It's interesting to work with. Um, One guy I got called in, his sister was my client, and his parents were all losing it, and he was, a full blown, I think he was doing heroin and stuff like that. And they asked me to come in and cleanse him, right? Help him, please, help him, please. The father's so cute, old Italian man sitting there praying to like some saint or something, all this stuff is going on. And I went and I put my hand on this guy's heart chakra. And oh, I did not know that. The Seth material, that was something I was so into like so long ago. Very interesting stuff. But I had put my hand on this guy's heart chakra. You know what I saw? I saw all these spirits coming out of the back of his heart chakra. Most of them were females. And I knew they had all OD'd. So this guy, it's an interesting perception of addiction. His addiction, he was putting himself into places, right? Let's say environments where there were a lot of drugs going on and there were ODs that, spirits wandering around. What these spirits want is they haven't fully gone into the light. They're still carrying their addiction energy and they still want to get high. So what they do is they attach themselves in whatever way, shape, or form they can. Not every case, don't get me wrong. This is not textbook stuff at all. I'm even blown away by what I run into. Like, what just happened? Right? What did I just say? Um, so they can't um get high, right? They're in the other realm. So they will attach onto somebody in the living who has the potential of using. Because when the person, let's say they're in their aura, right? When the spirit is in the aura, it has the frequency of addiction to it already, which then makes it very difficult for the living because then the living who's trying to get clean is now picking up this frequency in their aura that says use. You see what I'm saying? It's not an unusual thing. Very much not an unusual thing. Um, and whatever their addiction is, it doesn't just have to be drugs or alcohol. I've seen some of them attached onto them gambling. They were addicted to gambling when they were here in the physical world. They found somebody, right? They found somebody they could attach onto. Like I'd say to the person, like, I don't know where you started gambling and you're addicted to it. They're like, yes, I don't understand why I'm doing this. Because you got some guy in your aura influencing you saying, go to the casino, go to the casino, go. That's the urge energy. He isn't actually here, it's just that urge energy. Go to the casino so I could get my fix. Because when we get the living, right, to use, now their frequency, right, says, hey, I'm high. And that spirit, ah, I just got what I wanted. You understand? It gets very deep, very deep. And each soul is so individual. That's why I say it's not textbook stuff. I'm completely intrigued with it, right? Um, so I put my hand on this guy's heart chakra, and I start to see all these females, they all OD'd. I said, first of all, you're a little bit of a ladies' man because the only ODers you have on you are females. Like they're all just coming out of you. They all started laughing, right? But then I had noticed, and I had said to him, I said, why are you wasting my time? Why are you wasting your parents' money? He's like, what? I said, you're high right now. You are high right now. You got high to participate in this thing that you knew we were doing. He's like, yeah, I did. I said, all right, I'm just going to clear you. And I gave this kid such a talking to. Like, this is it. And I talked to him about frequencies, and the only one that you can't let that energy of addiction get into your head. Use. No, not today. It's not happening, right? The more that you stand in your authority, the weaker that energy gets to a point that it will typically go and um, go find somebody else, right? I always say this is why you have such a reoccurrence of people that go to like a rehab and then they start using again. Because there's four aspects of self: spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical, right? Spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical. In the laws of the universe, whatever you clear here, the physical body, does not have to go into these other realms. Okay? So here we have somebody who goes into a rehab, they clean their physical body of the drugs or the alcohol or whatever's going on there. They have not gotten to the root cause of the problem in the first place, which is hanging out over here in these dimensions,
Mhm.
right? It's over here. It's in their thought energy. It's in their emotional energy. Whatever had happened to them. Um, Interesting side note, my spirit guide had told me a very long time ago, he said the root cause of any addiction is rejection. The root cause of any addiction is rejection, right? So in some way, shape, or form, I come from my mother is 72 years old and still an addict. Still an addict. This woman starts getting high about 11:30 in the morning, and by 7 p.m. at night, she is wasted, right? This is her choice. So I come from this, right? Father, mother, brother. Yeah, I'm the one that said, no, none of that, right? I easily could be an addict, easily, but I choose not to. Don't get me wrong, I have my addictions that I do work on. Don't get me wrong. Um, and it is one of those battles, but I know I can overcome it, right? Um, and not addictions like I smoke. But one pack of cigarettes lasts me like 3 days. I don't give in to it all the time, right? And something we're all working on. Um, so I had worked with this guy, I cleared him, I gave him a good talking to, I explained things to him. This man reached out to me 5 years later. He said, I don't know if you remember who I am, but blah, 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 blah. And I want to let you know I've been clean for 5 years and you did make a big impact on me. And I was like, I am so super proud of you, bro. Right? It's about not giving that into the lower vibrating energy that is trying to kind of give us a narrative of who we believe we are. It's about us getting into us giving ourselves that identity, right? And not handing that power over to anyone or anything else. Um, it's just an interesting journey. It really truly is. So like I said, I put that phone number there. Um, that is, you can make an appointment with Yvette. My name is Patricia. Uh, you can make an appointment with me there too. I do things virtually. Um, or you can come in person. Either way, it doesn't matter. Um, it is a little booked out, just so you know. It is kind of booked out into like, I think it's like July, August or something next year, something along those lines. But what do you got to lose? Or like I said, at least in the meantime, please go find somebody who does Reiki, who does the tuning forks. A lot of these spirits, they don't like the frequency of those tuning forks. Some of them will just be like, I'm out. You're gonna keep doing this? I'm good. Right? They'd rather keep their power and go attach on to somebody else than to remain here where they know they're losing power. Right? So does anybody have any questions or anything? It's so incredible how quick an hour and a half could go by, right? Does anybody have any questions for me or anything?
Shall we check in with a group? We're almost 5 minutes before the end of the meeting. Thank you so much, by the way.
It,
It was fascinating.
I
I thought
just
it
want
was
you,
terrific.
huh?
This is Angela. I thought it was terrific.
Thank
I'm,
you.
Yes, thank you. This is very
thank you.
helpful.
Thank you.
I
I'd like to
I
call you.
just want you all to understand. Do not settle for who they are telling you you are. Oh, okay. I went to the doctor. This was interesting. I had something going on in my physical body, and I could feel it. I went to the doctor. Doctor's like, you need surgery. It's the only way this is gonna be better. You need surgery. I'm not buying your diagnosis, and I don't recommend this for everybody. I do not. Right? I do not. Um, I was like, okay, thanks, doc. I went to my spirit guide after we left the doctor's office, and I said, what's this really about? You know what he said to me? Discipline. This is about discipline. And then I started to go, okay, what does this mean? And I knew one of my first disciplines was to keep my body hydrated. So I went out and I bought a discipline bottle. This is what I call it, my discipline bottle. And I have to fill this every single day with water, and I have to drink all this water every single day. Knock on wood, I'm gonna knock on wood. Um, Everything my spirit guide has guided me to do, right? When it came to that word, discipline, knock on wood, I do not need a surgery. It has gone away. So you see how I just changed the emotional energy and I just changed everything behind it? Go away. You don't have power here. I'm not doing that thing. Right? I re-identified myself, which re-identified the condition.
Hmm.
Right? All right. So go ahead. I'm sorry. I just kind of that happens.
Can I ask just really 2 seconds of a question? If we call, is it Bev, did you say? Call that number.
Dev,
and answer.
Dev.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dev.
Yeah, Dev is a master intuitive tarot card reader. She can do mediumship. She does do Reiki. We're just all about healing. And
Okay.
that bio that was up there, Dev actually wrote it. She's my creative writer too. But Dev, yeah, Dev's the one that will answer the phone or return the phone calls
Mhm.
or something like that. Yeah. But I highly recommend Yvette. I really do. This woman's been doing it a very long time. She knows what she's doing. She knows, and nothing for nothing. I've seen her spirit guides before, so I know they're legit. Like I know they're like good spirits, right, that she works with. Um, but any other questions or anything?
I was wondering if nobody else has a question, I was wondering quickly, um, if you don't have the means for Reiki healing, all these things, and if you don't have a set of drums, if there is nothing you can tangibly do in the 3D, what in your opinion is the sort of most straightforward and powerful way of realigning yourself to source in this frequency of wholeness and love?
I would literally search it on like YouTube. You can go onto YouTube and you can search aura cleansing frequency, chakra balancing frequency. At least do that. I highly, highly recommend with the meditation that you find guided meditations as opposed to, oh, I'm going to listen to some ocean waves for the next 20 minutes. I can snap it into an altered state of mind at will, right? I could get into a meditative state of mind just by showing my intention. Even I am a seasoned meditator. If I listen to ocean waves for 90 About 90 seconds into it, I'm going to start going, oh, I got to get those clothes out of the dryer. What do I got to pick up at the supermarket? Right? Literally, my brain's going to go to like everything I have to do. I'm going to lose it. So a guided meditation, what I would look for is short guided meditations. We don't want to be in a meditation 45 minutes. If they're too lengthy like that, it's like, no, right? 15, 20 minutes. Maybe find one that says, hey, meet your spirit guide, something like that. We all have this force around us that is helping us. I have a direct connection with my spirit guide, so much so he stands here. I hear him right here in the back of my head. When he talks to me, it comes in right there. Then I know who it is. And I've used so much discernment with it because of like the spirit communication. I can tell if I hear a voice this way, I know the spirit is standing over there. Hear a voice this way, I know the spirit's standing over there. Right? It's just like almost like a whole thing going on. But that's what I would do is go on to YouTube, um, find chakra balancing, aura cleansing, short guided meditation, meet your spirit guide, something like that, but definitely guided so that they're telling you the story, right? So it keeps your attention. It's kind of giving you something to do there, right? Um, these are the things I could do. You can do free. Go outside. Take your shoes off. Stand in the earth, right? Absorb some earth energy. Go hug a tree. Tree energy is fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. Quick story. One time I was getting this, like all this energy right here in my heart chakra. I could feel it. Literally, my heart was like palpitating. And I had said it to the person who was with me. And I said to him, I was like, oh, something's going on in my heart. Like literally, my heart is palpitating. This is weird. I was getting this weird anxiety energy, which is just so not me, right? Weird anxiety energy to the point that I started losing, to the point that he actually said, do you want me to take you to the emergency room? I said, absolutely not. He was like, what? I said, you see that tree over there? He said, yeah. I said, I'm just going to go over to that tree over there. And I went over to that tree and I don't know why, but I do it like this. I lean my head on the tree and I just thank the tree for taking this energy from me. Thank you so much for taking this from me. Thank you so much for transmuting this energy. And I just did a thing. Busy road, by the way. There was like all these cars running by, probably like, what is this woman doing with this tree, right? I don't care. I know this tree will help me. Did this thing. Thank you so much for transmuting this energy. Thank you so much for taking it from me. Da, 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 da. Did a thing. I turned around. I probably walked about 3 steps, burst out crying. Don't even know what I was crying about. Didn't care. This was part of the transmutation of the energy, right? Walked over into the house, very centered, calm and cool. Went on YouTube real quick. I said, just leave me alone. Went on YouTube real quick. Did a chakra balancing, 10-minute thing. Never happened again after that. No, I did not go to the emergency room. Could I legitimately have went? Yes. But it would have been hours of my life for them to have these fancy schmancy, very expensive machines go, there's nothing really wrong with you. Oh no, I felt that. Right? But I knew it was energy, and I knew that the tree energy would help me. Go out. These are the things. They're free. Free. Sing a song. Sing a happy song. You're bringing in this frequency of sound, right? You're changing your attitude, right? These are the free things you could do.
Brilliant. Thank you so, 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 so much, Patricia. Thank you for your time.
Amen. It was wonderful meeting you all. Good luck on your journeys. I hope to cross paths with you. And in the meantime, I hope you all have just super blessed days. Take control. Dismiss the thought. Nah, you don't have enough. I always, nah, what are you showing up today for? I literally talked to, what are you showing up today for? Trying to get into my head. You don't have any power here. I'm not listening to you. And it was interesting because when I was teaching the group and we were talking about thoughts, I say you have to dismiss the thought and you can change your thought, pick a song, pick a prayer. My favorite prayer is Psalm 23. My favorite prayer. So when I was going through what I call the battlefield of the mind, right? Thought would come in. No, you don't have any power here today. Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Da 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 da. Right? Or pick a really happy song. And I said, she said, oh, but if I do that, I'm going to have to do that 800 times in one day. I said, yeah, maybe you will. I said, but the next day, maybe you only have to do it 400. And maybe the next day, you only have to do it 200. And maybe a week from now, you don't have to do it at all. You have to put in the work. You have to dismiss the thought. You have to grow in your strength and your courage and understand you're the one with the power, not these things that are in the other realms. Stop giving them your power. I'm going to tell you what, they are, I know we're getting off. Ted, I'm going to do a remote cleansing on you. They are clearly showing me, clearly, ever since we've even been on here. So I'm not going to talk to you about it, but I promise you, I am going to work on you remotely because they are showing me energy here. And then you have this nub of energy that is on the right-hand side of your head. And this is where I think there is some sort of spirit or something that's kind of talking to you. You understand that,
I
right?
guess so. I have a lot of anxiety.
First of all, wait, I know we're over. Ted, whatever we claim, we are. Whatever we claim, we are. Okay? Anything you speak, remember how we talked about the frequency of sound? If you speak, I have, this is what you're declaring. I am, this is what you're declaring. You don't have a lot of anxiety. They're just telling you you do. Oh, is that the diagnosis? Got you. Right? I can see how it could be very annoying. I can. They showed it to me as soon as actually before I even put my picture, you know, how it was just my whatever cover picture, whatever they call it, right? I saw it right away. I'm like, I'm gonna help Ted. Ted, I'm gonna help right there. But I'm gonna do it remote. I'm probably gonna do it. I'll do it by the end of the day, I promise you.
Okay.
Yeah. I do have to like take a reading in a little bit. So probably after I'm gonna say 4 p.m. on, I'm gonna pull that energy out of your head, sweetheart. Go away. Leave them alone. Because it's not you. I could tell that there's something there that's making you blah 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 blah. Blah. Go away. Go find something else to do. Okay? Amen.
I'm leaving around 4:30 to go to Fountain House. So
To go where?
to Fountain House.
Honey, you could go on with your day, do what you do. Just at some point in the day, you're gonna be like, oh wow, wait a minute, I feel so much better. Right? I'm just gonna move a lot of energy out of your head.
Okay,
There's a
thanks.
lot of energy out of your head. They clearly showed it to me. I always say they wouldn't show it to me if Ted wasn't ready to get rid of it. That's the best way I can put it. Ted's at a point where he's like, I'm kind of done with this anxiety thing, right? I don't want to keep having my attention go over that way, right?
Oh,
We want
yes.
to live. What are we here for?
Okay, thanks.
Of course. All right. Love and peace to you guys. I hope to all cross paths with you all again. And until we do, I wish you all just so incredibly blessed days and have an amazing holiday season.
Thank you so much. Sending you love.
Amen.
Bye,
Amen.
everyone.
Love and peace to you guys. Enjoy the rest of your days.